Okay, so this is the beginning of the 9th round. Francisco just had the best round of the fight, hurt Rigondeaux, and really asserted himself in the fight. Won that round clearly. Now you see Guillermo popping a hard jab out there, right? He's boxing now. Looked like he maybe caught him with a quick little body punch. Nothing big, but it looked pretty good, right? Hard jab, sharp jab. For someone who took the fight on 2 weeks' notice, right, and the excuse from some people is that he is, not in the best shape possible or rusty. His tools look pretty sharp, right? Yeah, it looks pretty sharp and fast to me. I mean, I know he gets hit and all, but that's because, he's got his hands below his waist and he's leaning in with his chin up in the air. And I know he's trying to draw a lead so that he can counter, but, he gets hit. Because, he's the greatest defensive fighter today. So he got cracked with the jab and then just kind of lost his confidence. I don't know. Just stopped throwing punches. Now he's going to reset. Just leads with the left hand, just like he's just trying to punch through the guard, I guess. Not, throwing a punch for the hell of it. There he goes. And he's boxing on the move. That's boxing. That right there is boxing. That's how you box. Right? I don't think he lands anything there, but there he did. And he's looking sharp, right? Does he look rusty to you? Just asking. His tools look pretty sharp. Looks to have stamina. He's throwing a lot of punches. He's boxing. He's not very effective at it, but he's clearly winning and clearly outboxing him so far. Right? He's not like busting him up. He can't really land anything, but he's keeping him occupied. And his punches are dangerous. They're fast. They're threatening, like he bullies him a little bit, like he's pushing him back now. He gets touched too, but, it's what happens when you 2 in a row, I guess. Nothing there. But Rigondeaux is, switching it up and adjusting, and it's working right now. It's working. I don't think he really got hit with anything there. And look, he threatened him, turned him around and threatened him. Became the ring general for like a split second. But now Francisco wants to put more pressure on. He misses. Maybe kind of got him there. I don't know. Nothing really there. Takes a jab. Guillermo's winning, clearly. Right? If you want to say he outboxed him, well, this is the round where he outboxed, so far, where he outboxed him. But what happened? Like, is he out of ideas? Just doesn't want to throw punches for some reason? I mean, he's having success. Why isn't he throwing more punches? There he goes. Got cracked, but see, it's Guillermo's defense is suspect, man. Look, like as he's throwing this combination, right? He's in a pretty good defensive construct, but look now. He starts throwing, right? His hands are by his waist. And his chin is up in the air. Not completely up in the air, but it's not tucked either. It's right there in the middle, right? Bam. And then Drian counters and Rigondeaux has to retreat. Because his chin is up in the air. So he doesn't get hit. And just like there, right? He's feeling himself a little bit, wants to box. Because he's had so much success, right? He leads with the left hand on the move. I didn't hear it, but maybe he kind of grazed him. But then gets hit with the swinging left hand. He rolls that punch, but he also gets hit with it, right? Gets hit back and kind of grazes Drian back. But, you know, this is what happens when he opens up, because his defense isn't all that good, right? Look at where his other hand is. When, like, Golovkin throws the rear right hand, where's his left hand, right? Right on his chin, right? That's good defense, fundamentally sound, good defense. This isn't, right? That's why he gets cracked. He's able to roll the punch and mitigate the force of that punch, but is that better? Is that having better defense than blocking the punch? Getting hit with the punch? Nice jab, nothing hard, but scores, and it's fast, right? You can see Rigondeaux's reach advantage telling in right now. Speaking of reach advantage, Francisco is rough. He's an inch shorter than Lomachenko and has half an inch less reach. But does it up until this point, has Rigondeaux been using his reach for anything? The height of his opponent, in my opinion, nullified that probing jab because he was smacking it from above. You could have less reach than your opponent, but if you want to smack that, you're able to smack that probe of his down because you're taller than him. That's very helpful. Rigondeaux won this round. You know, he boxed, he went to work, but what happened when he went to work? He exposed himself, right? Because when he throws punches, there ain't no defense, man. He's just reacting. I mean, it is defense. It's just not fundamentally sound to, you know, roll punches and try to get away from punches, but have your chin up in the air. And, you know, if you don't roll the punch, you get knocked down, right? You lose points. That cost you. One punch could cost you so much. Is that really great defense? No, it's no defense at all. I mean, it's some defense, don't get me wrong. It's just not sound defense. It's not fundamentally sound. But, you know, Guillermo had a terrible round in the 8th and stepped on the gas and exposed himself a little bit, took some chances, and won the round, right? Nothing legal even. I hate that shit, man. That, to me, that's just so ugly and I don't know. I don't like it. You get warned for that stuff in the, you should anyway, in the amateurs. And some judges, especially in Europe, they'll warn you for that shit. Nice jab by Rigondeaux, and then he avoids whatever's coming. You know, he's coming back out boxing because it worked for him in the first round, and he wants to close out strong, seeing as he's been losing. And he's doing well, very well, right? His tools are much sharper than Francisco's tools, right? He's more athletic, faster. But what's going on? Francisco's just staying out of range, right? And then goes into range when he wants to be in range. And Rigondeaux just kind of, I don't know, is he running out of ideas? Maybe he's getting a little tired. Well, no, he can't be getting tired because he's running, right? Maybe a little arm weary. I don't know. He blocks that shot, but it looks to get through just a little bit. Gets touched to the body a little bit. Where's the jab? Like, he's no longer boxing. Or he's not really doing anything. There he did. He just doesn't want to take chances anymore for some reason. Right? He's just running away because he knows this guy wants to knock him out. Whoa. Do you see that? Grazed him. That was actually pretty fast. Timed it well. That's why I think, you know, Francisco's been looking at him so much, Guillermo Rigondeaux, boxing him, for so long now. He really seems to have his timing down. It's kind of late and all, but man, if he had better punch technique, and he was able to land that on the chin. The chin is out there, right? And he keeps touching them. Boom, right? Is that really great defense? Honestly, is that great defense? Was that great defense too? Boom. Answers with just some light taps. And runs. Why is he running? This is supposed to be his, big stage, big show. Does he look rusty to you? Look how he's moving. Look how his feet are working. How smooth he is. He seems to have lots of energy. He's pretty quick on his feet. His hands are fast. Does he look like out of shape or rusty to you? Does he? All these excuses I'm hearing, does he? Maybe instead of making excuses, some of you guys should watch these fights a little bit better. So, Cotto and Canelo had their fight schedule, right, on the Rock Nation card, and they were going to be fighting, and that fight was built up for a long time, right? Now, I don't know when Rigondeaux signed that contract with Rock Nation, but they were negotiating it for a long time. No doubt about that. For at least for some months. So he knew that if he signed this contract, he was going to be fighting somebody on Cotto Canelo Cotto, right? And they were just going to give him a scrub to knock out or something, or whatever. He didn't know, maybe. Let's just say that's fair. But he knew he would be fighting on this date at some point before the opponent was confirmed, right? So the 2 weeks notice is basically who you're going to fight. That's who they gave you. And they didn't give you Lomachenko, right? Let's just say that. So, and by the way, how many months of notice do you think Drian Francisco got? Seeing as he just had a fight a couple of months ago. Or a month or so before this fight. I don't know exactly. You could look it up. How much notice did he get? If Rigo got 2 weeks, well, then he got, what, 7 days? What's his excuse for winning, right? And on top of that, he had to come down and wait. So all you crybabies out there, saying that I'm biased because I didn't say he took the fight on 2 weeks' notice. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We're talking about boxing here, and you being a little kid, bitching and moaning and crying, calling people biased. Did I point out that Rigondeaux took the fight on 2 weeks' notice? No. Did I point out that Drian did as well? Then how the fuck am I biased? Did you point it out? You the biased one. Learn what fucking bias means. Anyway, continuing. Oh, gets cracked in the face a little bit. Hey, didn't he just try that in the other round? The round before? The same thing? 1-2? Yeah, except this time, yeah, he had success. Actually cracked them. So, now Francisco's coming back. Now he's trying, the same technique. Showing you a game plan or intent. Just landed another punch, right? Rigondeaux turned it up in the 9th, exposed himself, took some chances, and won the round. But he got touched a little bit, and some punches just whizzed by his chin. And he's not too keen on taking too many chances in the 10th. He did a little bit in the beginning, but now he's just like, little nice body punch there, sharp and clean, right? Like, the tools look good, man. Like, look how fast that was. Look at that. Boom. And then steps out. Does that look like a rusty fighter to you? Or bad stamina? Look at him bouncing around, hopping around. getting hit. You know what I mean? Dancing. Complete ineffective aggression. Completely ineffective aggression, right? But he looks sharp. He don't look rusty to me. Look at that. He's got bad timing. Maybe his timing isn't, perfect, but I've never seen him knock anybody out or hurt anybody, or maybe even, I'm not saying he's never hit anybody with that punch before, but it's just not something he's really known for. Ooh, and then he gets cracked, right? So he started taking some chances, and look at his defense, right? Hands by the side. His chin is way up in the air. His face is in front of his body even, you know what I mean? He's not tucking anything. He's swinging wildly. He's just fast and athletic. But that's not good technique. Well, it's not fundamentally sound. Dropping your hands and swinging these wild punches, right? Why? Well, that's why. Because you get hit. And you should be lucky that this guy just slaps. Doesn't turn his punches over all that great. Boom. Maybe got him with a little bit of a left hand. I don't know. Looked like he backed away from it. I don't know. Running, right? He can't really hit him to discourage him with anything. When he takes chances, he's getting cracked here and there with, Francisco's dangerous. He doesn't want to take chances anymore. Frustrated, right? Both of them. That was a close round, but I have a certain standard. I always give it to the guy, and when the rounds are really close like this, I give it to the guy making the fight. I give it to the guy who's, giving us a reason, giving us something to judge, or at least trying, giving us information that we could judge the round and the fight on, right? So, allegedly, Rigondeaux was rusty, or he only had 2 weeks to... He got this fight on 2 weeks' notice. I already got into all that. It's all nonsense. Right. But if looking at Drian Francisco or what he was going to be doing here, and however far ahead of time he knew he was going to be doing this, even if it was probably 2 months or 3 months, he knew ahead of time that he was going to be fighting here. Even though that's the case, he didn't get up for this guy or this fight like he's going to get up for Lomachenko. Okay, that, of course, that you need to assume. Every fighter, they might tell you that they train the same no matter the opponent, and they probably do, but not always, and maybe not really, you know what I mean? Fighters just even psychologically and mentally just step it up when they're fighting, better opponents. They get motivated. So they tend to look better. We just need to automatically assume that about a fighter like Rigondeaux. Especially since he has up and down performances. He's known for that, right? So I expect basically what I'm trying to say is that I expect a better Guillermo Rigondeaux in the Lomachenko fight, but I'm not sure if he's going to be that much better because, when was this fight? A year ago? So he's a year older, and he's already old, and he didn't really, if his timing was a little off and this and that because he hadn't been active and all that, yeah, I'll accept that, but what's changed going into the Lomachenko fight? You know what I mean? I just don't think we're going to get Rigondeaux that's that much better than what we saw here. And if you're telling me that, he didn't have a long enough training camp, he didn't have enough time to adequately prepare for the fight, so he wasn't sharp and as good as he can be. What you're talking about is his physical attributes, right? You're talking about his tools also. His tools weren't as sharp, and maybe his athleticism wasn't fully realized or what it can be, right? So he was just a little bit slower, just not quite as sharp, and all that other stuff, right? Because as far as a boxing brain and understanding technique and understanding the sweet science, like that wasn't affected by either the layoff or not having enough time to prepare. You know, him being a master boxer, that's going to be there probably till the day he dies, right? So what you're telling me is that Guillermo Rigondeaux looked poor in this fight and lost it, sucked in a fight because he was just a little bit compromised physically, if you will, right? Even though he looked sharp. But he must have had the same amount of boxing knowledge. And if that's the case, and you have the sharper tools than your opponent, you're faster, you have all the physical advantage, you have a reach advantage. Okay, you're not quite as tall, but you're not much shorter, and you have a reach advantage, and you're faster, you hit harder, you know, all those things. If you truly had a boxing brain that is that much better than Drian Francisco's, then he would have just outslapped the shit out of him, right? He would have just outboxed him without knocking him out. He would have just schooled his ass. But that wasn't the case. What you're telling me is because Rigondeaux's tools were just a little bit dull, that was enough for him to lose a fight to a guy that wasn't even top 100 in the division. I don't know, maybe he was like in the 60s or 70s, something like that. He was coming off a first round knockout from like 2 or 3 fights before he fought Rigondeaux, right? He had been knocked out, and he lost a unanimous decision to Chris Avalos after that, something like that. Wasn't the top fighter, was never really, maybe at one point Drian Francisco was like in the top 10 of his division, like 6 years ago or something. That guy, with tools that weren't nearly as good as Rigondeaux's tools, was able to outbox him. And when people talk about Guillermo Rigondeaux, the power, it's always the power, power, power. I think most people don't realize how they just don't know anything about boxing, and they're confusing Guillermo Rigondeaux's athletic ability and natural gifts and a little bit of also very, very, very sharp and good technique, don't get me wrong. But they're confusing all that for a boxing brain. And he doesn't have a very good boxing. He hasn't shown a genius level type boxing brain, okay? Because it's just not smart to drop your hands to your waist and give your opponent your face. That's just not smart. Well-schooled, smart fighters just don't do that shit. They just don't. So Guillermo Rigondeaux is overrated, and people mistake his and confuse his like physical and athletic gifts for a brain. But, well, that's also white guilt. And I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about.